Hello and welcome to the Eureka Masterclass with me, Bren. In this week's episode, it's going to be one of my favorites we've done so far because we're talking about Facebook lookalike audiences. They are absolutely fantastic. Why do I love them so much? They make my clients money, they make me money, and they're easier than it sounds to create. Most people just don't even know about them. People don't know how to create them. They're just a very, very well kept secret that I'm going to talk about in this episode, how you can create them, use them for your business to generate even more than $20,000 worth of new customers each and every month, as I've done for one of my businesses. And I'm going to show you just how I've done that. I'm going to show you the proof that I've actually done that as well, and just how good they are for your business. So what are custom audiences and what are lookalike audiences? So custom audiences I spoke about before, and I urge you to go back to the Eureka Masterclass about custom audiences. It'll help you with this episode a great deal on how to create them, what they're for, and help you, think outside the box a little bit more as well on how you can use lookalike audiences for your specific business. But in a nutshell, what are lookalike audiences? So lookalike audiences are models based on custom audiences. So custom audiences can be many different things, but one of my favorite lookalike audiences are based on buyers' audience. So a list of buyers that you have. So to break it down into an analogy, let's say that I'm a shoe store, and I sell all kinds of different shoes. I sell sneakers, I sell sandals, I sell dress shoes, all different types of shoes. So let's say I want to get more sneaker sales. I can rip all the customers that ever purchased sneakers from me over the past 5 years. I get their email addresses and I make a custom audience with that. So that gives me a list of all the Facebook users that have ever purchased from me. From there, Facebook will analyze the demographics, psychographics, behaviors and interests on all my buyers that have purchased sneakers from me. Now, it's very important that I haven't thrown all my shoe buyers into one category. You want to be specific with the types of products that you have or the types of services that you offer. So I haven't thrown the dress shoes in with the sneakers, I haven't shown the sandals in with the sneakers, so on and so forth. Be specific if you can. If you're a lead gen business and you haven't got enough sales, because you do actually, you need probably around about 400 to 500 to start with custom audiences and lookalike audience. Throw inquiries in there, merge the two if you can, then break them out later as you generate more business. So what I've got now is I've got a custom audience of sneaker buyers from myself. And as I mentioned, Facebook analyze demographic, psychographic interests, so on and so forth, and then start to create groups or audience groups based on those bits of data, the demographic and interest and psychographic data, and create an audience based around that. So essentially it's creating me an audience that are just like my buyers that don't know about what I sell but have an extremely high likelihood to buy from me, because contextually and interest and personality, they're like my buyers. So there's a very good chance that they'll want to buy from me, or at least be very interested in what I have to sell or what you have to sell. So you're probably starting to think now, wow, that's really powerful. Facebook is going to do this for me. And Facebook's trying to make you money, and it's up to you to utilize that power and get the very most from it. So that's essentially what lookalike audiences are. There's many different ways to kind of create different types of lookalike audiences. I'm going to use two in this masterclass. One based on buyers audiences, one I just spoke about in that analogy, and one based on website page activity. And that's very good because sometimes there's small businesses that don't have a couple of hundred sales yet. They don't even have a couple of hundred sales and also a couple of hundred inquiries to make that first custom audience to model the lookalike audience of. So I'm going to show a way around that, just in case you're in a different stage in your business and you're early or you're late or you're 5 years in, you're in a year in. So this masterclass will help both types of people that have been in for a while and for a short period. So without further ado, I'm going to jump over to the computer and we're going to get stuck into just how to do all this fun stuff. So if you've got a notepad, I would recommend getting that now, because I'm going to let you look over my shoulder, watch my screen, I'm going to commentate, and I'm going to show you step by step on how to do it for yourself. So without any further ado, let's jump over to the computer. So just before I show you the how, I'm going to show you just what you can get from it. So this is one of the businesses that I have a large stake in and that I do all the marketing and sales for. It's digital based, And over the last 30 days, we've generated $23,792.37 just from Facebook alone, and hugely using lookalike audiences. And as you can see, this is Facebook whole, as in this is just Facebook traffic segmented, and this is the sales stats. So you can start. We've been growing quite quickly over the last week and a half due to some good findings, testing and tweaking all the time, and things of that nature. So I'm going to show you exactly how I generated this so you can do it for yourself with your own business. So as we come over to the Facebook audience page, so I assume most people know how to navigate to the audience section, but if you don't, you click up the top left-hand corner, the navigation panel. You won't be able to see that on my screen as I'm just hiding the Facebook account and things of that nature. But nonetheless, you'll be able to see the menu. You can select audiences from here. If you can't see it there, you just click all tools and select audiences, and that'll bring you to this page. I've also blurred out all my audience names just for privacy reasons and things of that nature. So how do we create lookalike audiences? So as I mentioned, you need to create a custom audience first. So to create the custom audience, I do really recommend that you watch the Eureka masterclass on custom audiences, but really quickly, click create custom audience. There's numerous different custom audiences you can create. We're going to create a customer file version because I'm going to create the buyer list lookalike audience first. You can import from MailChimp, but as most of you know, I like to do things a little bit old school, the old copy and paste fashion. So we click choose file or copy and paste data. The page appears, old school, copy and paste. You can import CSV or text files if you wish. I run with emails, blurred out the emails of course, just for privacy reasons of some customers, and I've got about 920 in here, and I'm not going to create an audience with this, but you just follow the prompts and you get to a stage. Actually, I will create one. We'll just call it test. You would name it with the specific product or service type and a date range of the buyers. You will want to remember that, and you won't be able to remember that further in the track when you're thinking, what was that custom audience about? How can I leverage that now? So be specific with the audience name. Click next. We can click, so this is the data import page, and of course it's just copy and pasted emails. I've selected email, or Facebook's automatically select that, so make sure that corresponds with the correct piece of information that you've inputted. And then ultimately next is just upload and create. So it's really simple. Facebook's now just uploading 68 rows, 919 successfully imported. So from this page we want to click create a lookalike audience. That brings up this page. Now for the people who have watched the Eureka masterclass on custom audiences and have already got their custom audience but not a lookalike audience, what we do now to get to that lookalike page is create audience, and you may have guessed it, lookalike audience, and we select the custom audience that we wish to use. So what we do here is I'm going to select the list that I just made. It's a buyers list, as I mentioned, and this is the fun part. One of the little fun parts when you do like work for different clients around the world that I do is that the lookalike audience, the size of it, we base on relative to the population size of the country. So to give you an example, as you know from my accent, I'm Australian, so we'll select Australia, and the 1% audience, which is the most targeted audience, is 154,000. But if I change that to the United States, which is a far larger population, it's 2.1 million. So if you're in different countries, you'll see you'll understand now why that lookalike audience size is different to perhaps what you're seeing on my screen. So I'm going to stick with America, and you're probably wondering what are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on audience types. What's that all about? Now the way it works is that 1% is the most targeted and the most relevant list or audience to your buyers list, or the list that you've made as your custom audience. It is the most relevant people to the custom audience that you created. So the 2% audience is less targeted than the 1% audience, and so on and so forth. So usually 1 and 2% audiences, if you've got a couple of thousand people in the custom audience, you'll do pretty well with. As you get smaller, usually the 1% audience works really well, 2% a little less so. In advanced options, we can do some really fun stuff. And I'm going to have to talk about this in a later masterclass, but you can see here that I've created a 1% audience, a 2% audience, and a 2 to 5% audience. So what's that all about? So as I mentioned, that they get less relevant and less specific or less targeted the further you go down in the percentage points. So what I want to do here is that I've got a 2 to 5% audience that has the potential of being around about 6 million people strong, which is a large audience, but not very targeted. I can start to add layers. So back to the sneaker business that we're hypothetically running, I might want to test this audience on by themselves, but I might want to say people that are interested in Nike, Adidas, and the top sneaker brands. I can start to layer. So I've got that lookalike audience, and then I've got a small segment of people out of that lookalike audience that like the Nike, Adidas, and the brands that I sell, perhaps, is how I can layer. So I'm trying to get the best people from that slightly perceived broader or less targeted audience. So kind of overlapping that audience to try and find the very best people from that slightly less targeted. Now, it is very important when you set up your ad groups or ad sets in Facebook's world, as it's called, is one ad set is 1% audience, another ad set is a 2% audience, and so on and so forth. Don't merge them in the one ad set, because you won't know if the 2% audience is making you a lot of money and the 1% audience is killing you, or vice versa. So make sure that when you're testing, it's a little bit more work to set up multiple ad sets, but you might be spending money on an audience that isn't making you money. And if you have everything very specific and very granular, very detailed or leveled down, you'll be able to make better judgments on where your money's going and what money's coming back to you. A little bit more work, but it will pay huge amounts. Like taking money off a baby. If you do that extra work, it makes things so much more simple. So what I would do here is I'd create the audience. Taking a little while, and the audience is made. Now you'll see some red dots. Obviously the audience name is blurred out, but it says not ready yet. Now Facebook's updating the audiences, and depending on how much data you put into the custom audience is how long it'll take. So I've put up to 98,000 emails into a custom audience, and it took a couple of hours. So depending upon, it could take 15 minutes, it can take a couple of hours. Depends on how big the email list that you put into the custom audience. Now, what about for the smaller businesses that don't quite have enough information or customer information to make a custom audience based on buyers or inquiries? So this is still very good, even if you're a large traffic business or a large volume business and you've got that data. You can test so many different things within Facebook. This is just another one. And I'm not talking about all the lookalike audiences that you can create within Facebook in this video. I'm only catering for two here. So what I would do, I would create a custom audience based on website traffic. Now from here, I can select anyone that visits your website. I can select people who visit a specific page, people visiting specific pages but not others, and people who haven't visited in a certain amount of time. So they're pretty self-explanatory. They're a bit of if this then that kind of rules. So what you can do here is you can be pretty specific. So if I want people that only visit my sneaker page, I want to model the traffic off that. If I'm an accountant, I got financial planning services, personal tax services, business tax services. I don't want to be showing personal ads to business clients. I don't want to be showing financial planning ads to people that haven't viewed that page, haven't showed any interest, so not going to make much money. So I can say all the people that visit my financial planning page, make a custom audience out of that, and then create a lookalike audience. Very powerful. You can say people that visited a specific page but didn't visit a thank you page. So that could work possibly well if you want to try and if that's more of a custom audience kind of method, not so much a lookalike audience, because you'd actually want to target the people that went to the thank you page. But then you could run ads just to that little block of people that didn't do what you did, that you wanted them to do, and show them with remarketing ads. Again, remarketing will be a future masterclass, so keep checking back. People who haven't visited in a certain amount of time, again, we don't want to make a lookalike audience based on them, and you can create custom combinations. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You can pick up traffic for in the last 30 days. You can also pick up past web traffic. Again, you need to have that Facebook pixel on your website. If you don't know how to do that, get your web designer, web developer. He or she will know how to do that really quickly. Give the audience a name and you're pretty much done. So that's kind of a quick overview of lookalike audiences and how you can use them. Again, you want an overall strategy to tie in like with remarketing, and again, like Google AdWords, search engine optimization, emails, they're all fueling each other with model attribution and multi-channel funneling. So, each and every week I'm going to be talking about different aspects. So keep checking back. But this pretty much concludes the video on lookalike audiences. If you have any questions, feedback, we're getting tons of requests to do a video about Facebook ad creatives. So our next masterclass is going to be about Facebook ad creatives, what to do, how to do them, how to get better ad creatives by just small little tweaks and tests and things like that. So next week's going to be fantastic as we talk about the real creative and a little bit of the fun part. It's still complicated when you get into the testing world of ads, but next week's masterclass is going to be fantastic as I talk about Facebook ad creatives. Got any questions? Feel free to email us or leave comments. And if you're doing well with Facebook ads, let us know. We want to hear that these masterclasses are helping. If you're not doing very well, again, send us an email, ask me a question, and I should be able to provide the answer, and I'm happy to help. So that will be it for this week, guys. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you next Friday for the Eureka Masterclass with me, Bren. Take care. Bye-bye.